Alrighty, I got some pictures from my personal collection to show you guys as I tell story time. Is this a story time? No, it's Thanksgiving kind of related, but like in a living sense. So when I lived in California, in specifically Albany, California, so July 2016 to October 2019 inclusive, I lived in an area, and these are the neighborhood wild turkeys. We had wild turkeys that would roam the streets, and I actually had to, take and navigate around these turkeys. Sometimes they'd be on the street I lived on. Sometimes it'd be like I'd be going to the gas station and they'd be like out there on the crosswalk, in the middle, like, well, not the middle, but like on a busy intersection. So, and sometimes they'd just be like by the side of the road. And so they were, and if I were out walking, sometimes there'd be, like 20 of them all together. So this is on living with turkeys as wildlife when I lived in Albany, California, 2016 to 2019. And so it's actually something I thought about. I was like, it was one of those ones of vehicle racing and design and car essentials collided into, I'm happy I have a low vehicle. So I have a compact car, a 2010 Toyota Corolla LE, and that was this car that I'm driving in this one, and stopped and took a picture because I was waiting for the turkeys to cross the road. And it was, I was like, it brought to life, at Thanksgiving, a turkey is the bird of like the holiday, and it was just interesting because I'd seen and or heard of like wild turkeys and stuff like that, and then it was like face to face my reality. The biggest consistent wildlife in our neighborhood was wild turkeys. So I was like, well, that's a life twist. I didn't quite see it coming. The second biggest wildlife that I saw living in California approximately that time was the second biggest and consistent was skunks. So they were both wildlife that I was not familiar with in Washington State for my particular setting. Here's, I'm in my car when I'm taking these pictures. There it is. I'm in my car and this turkey's like, yo, hey lady, whoa, look at that turkey. Okay, so these are my pictures. So it was just an interesting one because it brought to life for me the bird, and I got to learn the personality of the bird that I cooked for Thanksgiving, when I hosted back in 2018. I was like, does it bother me? No. I also don't think they're dumb birds. I would say it was one where like turkeys were kind of characterized as being dumb animals, and so it was like, and they were actually quite personable. So that was kind of cool. I was like, turkeys moved up in my world, and in my perception by actually interacting with them. And they could even, one of the coolest things, I gotta say, turkeys fly. I would go out in, we had like a balcony because we were on the top unit of the building I lived in, and I'd look out and there would be turkeys on the roof. I was like, what? How did the turkey get on the roof of the house? And it flew from roof to roof, and I was like, I had never seen a turkey fly in a wild turkey in an urban setting. Okay, metropolitan California, San Francisco Bay Area. Okay, I was like, we don't even have that in Seattle. Like, it's the wild kingdom out here. So it was in short, it was very cool. But I also got to learn the personality of an animal and the living version of a food item that I've eaten at Thanksgiving, throughout my life. So there we go. And I'm Tanis, she, her, hers of Seattle, and I'm filming this on Wednesday, 29 October 2025. Thank you for joining me.